Hey everyone, it's Enchanted, and I wanted to have a conversation about Chloe Bailey, but this certainly applies to many other up and coming artists right now. So I'm just wondering what happened to proper rollouts? What happened to proper rollouts? Okay, so if you guys didn't know, which I'm assuming the majority of you guys didn't because it only sold like 6,000 units, the talented Chloe Bailey released an album, and she basically surprise dropped it, no notice at all. And I want to preference this that, I am a Chloe fan. I loved Chloe and Halle's last album, Ungodly Hour. I have the vinyl. I really have a lot of love for Chloe's solo work as well, but I don't really like her promotional methods. Her team is extremely good at promoting her outside of music. She has, had many big roles in movies, and same with her sister this past year. Her sister was in that blockbuster Little Mermaid. But their music tends to underperform, like by a lot. I think problem with Chloe is that she's always had just extremely messy rollouts. Either she does too much or not enough. Or like Normani did, wasted too much before her first single, Have Mercy, to really capitalize off of that momentum. You can't release too many singles before the album drops, but you also have to keep your name in people's mouths. In my opinion, I feel like the right amount of singles would be, two strong singles supported, two strong supported singles, and then another one dropping right before the album or like on album night. For, a while it seemed like Dua was the only mainstream act really doing this, Doja Cat as well. Recently we saw Sabrina Carpenter follow that format. And then we have Chloe and Armani, who have teams that just don't know how to properly form eras. I would have thought that, after Chloe's last album, In Pieces, that her team would be aware of how much numbers affect an artist's image and project. Personally, I understand that numbers don't make a project good or bad, but in today's musical landscape, where fans have so much access to sales and numbers, your debut sales basically become your project. The more you sell first week, the more people will flock like sheep to listen to it. Chloe dropped her first album and it sold around like 10K. She was a laughing stock for weeks upon weeks, and I felt really bad because I know she was super excited to release that album, and show people, but the majority of dialogue surrounding that project was about her sales. Her core fan base, from my understanding, they really did enjoy her album. Um, but people outside it only mentioned her album to like clown her, kind of similar to what they do with Chloe Leray, if you guys are familiar. So, she released too many singles for that album, like, and I feel like it really overwhelmed people and caused them to lose interest. I don't think that dropping the album was like a total waste, in pieces, because she was able to have a successful tour out of it, and she solidified herself as a solo artist. She also started growing her core fan base, which is admirable, but I don't know how I can excuse her last rollout for this new album. They after you just know that, especially the narrative that's surrounding her based off of In Pieces performance, it's just like, why would they not do all they could to make this an extremely successful era for Chloe, and watch that her numbers that she would produce in a successful era would definitely make more fans outside of it would help her gain more fans outside of her core fan base. I'm just like, why? As crazy as it sounds, sales numbers really do dictate people's interests in projects, and many people will write off a project as soon as they think that it's flopping or as soon as they see the numbers. Like they look at the numbers and they never look at it again. The only artists that should be able to surprise drop are artists that have already established themselves, most famously Beyonce, but like a Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, Drake, they could do this. Chloe, as well as many other newer artists, they are not on this level, nor do they have this type of pull to pull it off successfully. If being real, like Normani needs her lashings as well. Like I love Normani, but I think you guys give her a little bit too much excuse, like too many excuses. I think you guys I understand that her record label isn't exactly making it easy for her, but she isn't promoting her album at all. And, it's an extremely good album. Dopamine was an extremely good album. And she may not have the funding for, music videos, but she could always do dance practices and, live covers of her songs on YouTube, with that would help with promotion. The dopamine era was extremely messy. Why would her team wait till everything is situated? Like why do artists announce things before the project is completely done? Like her team should have. waited till everything was situated and all the music videos were done before even announcing the album in general. Because if you guys remember, she announced the album months and months and then had no promotion, nothing. So it's just like, what's the point? Just wait till everything's situated so you could have a nice, clean rollout, you know? And for Normani, her music videos are her main draw. They help boost her music and her commercial appeal. Why haven't we had one music video for Dopamine? Not one. The first one should have dropped right after the single Candy Paint came out. And then she, could promote Candy Paint while also promoting her upcoming album. But she put out Candy Paint without any visuals and let the hype die down. And she sold, I think Dopamine sold around like 12K. On top of this, I know Normani has a strong enough fan base to sell 6,000 CDs, at least 6,000 in pure sales, you know? And RCA screwed this up with Lotto as well. It's like, why not set everything up for the project to look and be as successful as possible, especially knowing how the music climate is around sales? Why didn't Lotto have physical albums to help boost her sales numbers as well, It doesn't make sense. RCA, RCA record label, they have really good artists under their hands, but it seems like they really struggle with, helping boost album sales. They might need to take uh some tips from RCA or something. RCA is pretty good at finessing, but RC not RCA, I'm sorry, Atlantic Records is good at finessing, but RCA seems to struggle. They did the same thing with you know, Hate too. They really kind of fumbled her album, I feel like. And they are able to produce some massive singles, aka Doja Cat, Tate McRae. But I feel like those singles are only, they're boosted more by TikTok rather than RCA pushing it themselves. Like I have been really disappointed with how RCA has been promoting their artists as of late. I just feel like artists need to be a bit more understanding of, marketing. I understand that music is becoming more niche, and many artists feel like they only need to really reach out to their core fan base. And, this would be fine if you're trying to stay niche and, low key and under the radar. But in cases like Chloe, I think she's meant to be a star, and I know the conversation surrounding her album sales, like it really bothers her. I remember her kind of lashing out at one of her concerts, saying, don't worry about it. I'm fine. She's on a sold out tour, which is true, but I do think it gets to her, and I know it sucks because I know she's more than capable. What are your thoughts on Chloe and other artists of that caliber, kind of going through a similar situation where it feels like they are struggling to break through mainstream? Does seem like, to be more of a pattern with the younger black artists that I've been noticing. I feel like Shabuzi has been the only new artist that has been able to kind of stand with the likes of Sabrina and Tate and Olivia Rodrigo. Many of the other artists, they haven't been able to really market themselves in a way to capture the masses. At least not yet. At least not yet. What are your thoughts on artist rollouts? Do you guys miss when artists used to promote and have whole eras? And I don't even want to leave this person out either. Camila Cabello is another person. She doesn't have a ton of record label support, but she's everywhere. She's promoting it. She's making TikToks. I Love It was everywhere before it came out. So it's possible. I mean, and she still didn't have the best numbers, especially from Camila Cabello. But it- this is kind of what I go with my comparison with Normani. Like Normani can promote, like she just drops and disappears. I'm just like Normani, and then you can't get mad at the conversation surrounding your project after that. What were your thoughts on rollouts? Do you guys miss the eras? Do you like when artists drop more frequently, or does that overwhelm you, like before a project, having a ton of singles, or do you like, feel like a cute, like, two or three singles or two singles before the project and then the single drop in the night of the project? I think that's the perfect rollout. But what are your guys' rollout template that you guys prefer? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next video.